someone, new user to Gamesalad, sent me an email and he said, can you make a switch, like a light switch on and on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off continuously? I told him that's impossible. You'll need Unity for that. He didn't really think that was funny either. But no, of course, Gamesalad can do that. That is easy peasy stuff. So let's do that. I assume you have the images you want loaded in. You just switch or a button. So I just have a little switch there and a light bulb. Let's just move that on the screen. And we only need one attribute. So we click on attributes. We're going to add a game attribute so everything can see it. And we want integer, which are numbers like 1 and 7 and 9 and whatever you want. But we'll call it switch on off. How about that? That's fine. And it's important that you change from 0. The value of that attribute will be 1. Now let's go into the button or the switch actor. And we're going to need a rule. And we're going to say, whenever you touch this button or this switch, we want to change this attribute we just made. So we drag that in there. Game attribute. And we're going to go down to the bottom, find our switch on off, which we just made. We're going to click that. And we want this to change to itself. So we're going to go back, find down, go to game, on off, times -1. And I'll explain why I want that in a second. But it's all you need for your switch. Let's go to the light bulb. Let's move that on the light bulb. Here we're going to need a rule. You just click on the create rule on the top right. And we're going to need attributes. And when this attribute, we'll select it again. Remember, it's on the game. Just go to the bottom, switch on same attribute, equals -1. We want to, well, if it's a light bulb, why don't we just turn it off? So we need another change attribute. We're going to click on there, but instead of game, we're going to use the light bulb attributes. So you're going to click on attributes, light bulb, and we're going to play with the color and something called alpha. Alpha is basically the transparency. So an alpha of 1 is you can see it. An alpha of 0 means it's completely transparent. You can't see it at all. And I'll go through this quickly at the end as well. So you can duplicate a rule by clicking on it and going Command C V, and you will duplicate this rule. So we'll call this off. And this one we will call on, except we don't want it -1, we want it as 1. And again, we want this not to be 0, we want it to come on to see it. So change it to 1. So let's run it and test it, and then I'll just quickly go explain why this works. Off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on. You can do that forever. So what it's doing is, again, every time you click on the button or the switch, it's multiplying that attribute by -1. So remember, we changed it to 1. We click on the attribute. 1 times -1 is, ta-da, -1. If we go into our light bulb, -1 changes the picture to 0, so you can't see it. You click on it again, -1 times -1 is 1. And that will follow this rule, which will turn it on by changing the alpha to 1. Click it again, -1. So that's why it keeps working over and over and over. You know, I'll show you one other thing where I actually use it the most. We're just gonna, you can save your attributes in your custom attribute holder, I guess. I actually use this for on and off switch for sound. So we're going to use the same switch, same attribute, but we're going to go into the speaker and move those in. But instead of changing the alpha, you can do other things here. This is just the trigger, but you can drag any behavior you want on there. So what we're going to do is actually change the image. So at 1, we will change the image to sound on, and for this, we'll change the image to sound off. So when this attribute is 1, sound is on. When this attribute is off, sound is off. Now this doesn't actually control the sound. This is just what you see on the screen. So let's see if that works. Yeah, so you click on it, no light, but also no sound. Click on, sound, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on. So that's it. That's how you do a reversible, repeatable off-on switch, I think is an easy way to do it. So I hope that helps, and stop banging on your keyboard. This is supposed to be fun.